Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome back to a type of video I've not done in a very long time, but I think it's well deserved because I surpassed 125 subscribers, about 130 now. Um, and I decided that I want to share um, my technology collection with you guys. I think it's time to make an updated collection video. Um, and I'll be doing at least a three-part series. I might also do a gaming collection video. We'll see. Maybe I'll do like a Wii U Virtual Console video. We'll see. Um, but I'm decided to show off my iPods first, and then maybe I'll do iPhones. Yeah, I do have a few Androids, but and then iPads. iPads will probably be second, but since my iPod collection is pretty much just about complete. I mean, I still need an original first generation iPod Classic, the first one that came out right before I was born, the 2001 one, and then um, so that one, and then if I can ever find an iPod Touch 7th generation still running iOS 12, then that would also be cool as well. But other than that, pretty much my iPod collection is pretty much all set. I used to have some other non-touches, but I got rid of them. Like I used to have an iPod Nano 2nd gen, but I didn't want that one no more. And then I used to have a 3rd gen, I didn't want that one no more. But let's start off with the non-exciting iPods first, and then I'll go into the touches. So first off, let's do my Nanos, which I have 4 iPod Nanos. So I have a first generation 1 GB that I got for free from the Target bin, I think over 2 years ago. And I found this. It's not charged right now, but it does work. It doesn't have any music on it. It's black. It's pretty cool. I keep it in my room. So with my personal iPhone 4, running iOS 4 on it. And then I have a pretty rare 4th generation iPod Nano. Not only is it rare because it's product red, but also it's a 4 GB, which these were only sold in the European Union, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. And I found this for only about like $20. I won the auction, and it's a really good deal. And then I got a 5th gen, which had the video camera in a case, and it's got a lot of music on it. Really cool. It's got the bigger touchscreen. This is probably the best iPod Nano ever made. I'm not sure why they went backwards. But, however, the later generations did have touchscreen, like this 6th generation iPod Nano, the orange one. And this one isn't the exact one I had, but this iPod is kind of special because when I was a kid, before my parents got me my first iOS device, which was an iPod Touch 4th generation, I had the iPod Nano 6th generation in this exact same color, the orange or yellowish color. And it did eventually have a cracked screen. And I was riding my bike listening to music, I think the Beatles. I was listening to this song, Maybe I'm Amazed, by the Beatles as a 2nd grader, right? And I was on my bike, right, checking, and then I just dropped face down and cracked. And then I had to get a replacement, and it was not fun. But I mean, pretty good memories as an 8-year-old with this iPod. So crazy. So those are the Nanos. I don't have a 2nd gen, 3rd gen. I used to, or a 7th gen because I don't know why. But I do have some of those ones, and I'm more into the iPod, yeah, right, Touch and iOS than the non-touch iPods. But I want to make sure I have some non-touch iPods in my collection as well, especially that Nano 6th gen there. And I have one iPod Shuffle, and I actually have the original box for it somewhere over there. It's in storage, so I can't really show it, but I did get it brand new for about, I think, about $150. a couple years ago, and it still has all the paperwork, all the manuals, the charger, and I've never used it. I've never tried to use it. I wanted to keep it brand new and never open it, but I don't know. I think I committed a sin by opening it, but that's all right. And this is Nano first gen. There were 4 generations of the um, iPod Shuffle, but I only had the first gen. I think I had a third or fourth gen at some point, but I sold it years ago. And I have one iPod Classic. I do want a first gen, but I do have a fourth gen right here. This one I found in a Target bin. I'm pretty sure it's fully working. Most of these non-touches I found in the Target bin. But it's just not charged. But it's a 20 gigabyte fourth gen, I believe, with video photo. So it's a newer one. So I got that one, and then I got a really cool one, an iPod Mini. This one really works. I did load some music on it. I did try using this as a main media player like about 2 years ago in 2021, and it was all right. It's a 4 gigabyte. I forget if it's a first or second gen, but I bought this in pretty solid condition, and it's a Blue Mini. So my dad had memories with this back in the day. Obviously not the same one. He broke it as well, just like that one. But there we go. So there's kind of the not so special iPods / the non-touches. Now for the iPod touches. So I have 2 with bad batteries. I got a 4th gen and a 5th gen that aren't happy with their batteries. So we'll get to those. But here are all my 1st gen iPod touches. So I got one on its very first original iOS it ever shipped with. I don't know if it's downgraded or not, but it's on iOS 1.1. It's an 8 gig. It's in pretty good condition. It's most of these are scratched up nowadays, but it's all you got back in the day, right? And let me confirm, I know you saw the sticker, but there are all the specs. 1.1. I don't have anything on it because I don't have a computer with iTunes that can detect iOS 1 nowadays, or iPhone OS 1. But basically, there's that one. So that's the first one, and then I got one on 1.1.5. It's a 16 gig, which is pretty cool. And pretty cool. This one's also in really good condition. And I'm too nervous to scratch it up, but I did take it out. And 1.1.5, 16 gig, nothing on it. Just random names because obviously not the original owner of these. So, and then 2.2.1, my third iPod Touch first gen 2.2.1, and here it is, and there we go. I do believe it might have some media on here. I can't remember. This one was hard to find. Oh, it actually doesn't have anything on here, but one on 2.2.1 or iOS 2, pretty hard to find on the first gen iPod Touch. Even harder than iOS 1. Weird. And then this one is kind of special, but also it isn't so special because it's a 16 gig. Oh yeah, 8 gig 2.2.1 by the way. So I got 2 8 gigs, 2 16 gigs. I still need a 32 gig. But this one's kind of special. Kind of special and non-special. It's not really special because it is running the latest version of iOS. It can run, which is 3.1.3. But the good news is this iPod I bought back in 2015 as a 13-year-old. I literally, it's a crazy story because I bought an eBay gift card. Back then you needed PayPal to use eBay, which was kind of annoying. And I secretly found my bank information so I could create an account. Just so I could find a way to buy this iPod Touch and I bid on it and won, and it's a crazy story. When I was a middle school kid, I wanted the first gen iPod Touch. It seemed really cool, and I bought it. I sunk it with iTunes. I got a lot of music on here, some photos, videos. I even named it mine, so it came reset. Um, and it's also, I did attempt to jailbreak it. It didn't quite work, but I do have the City app there. So, and I also downloaded a few apps here. So this iPod, ever since I got it, I never reset it anything. Over 8 years ago. And I mean, it does have a lot of media on it. It's my own media on it. And I used to use it as a media player, and it does have a screen protector. Really cool. Really good condition. Probably my favorite one out of my first gens, even over the iOS 1 ones, just because there's a few extra features you can use with this, and kind of special because this was my main music player when I was 13, and really cool. Even though it wasn't my first iPod, but yeah. And now second gens, not too much history with the second gen iPod Touch, but I do have one on iOS 2.2.1, really special because it's got a lot of apps that I showed on this YouTube channel many times, and a lot of apps you kind of tested to see what still works, what doesn't. iOS 2.2.1, and yeah, a lot of content on here, 8 gig of course. These are all sadly only 8 gigs, but I do have one on iOS free as well, with also a lot of apps and media on it. 3.1.2, I think, right? No, 3.1.3. Yeah, 3.1.3. It's the second gen. A lot of media apps on here. It still works, so really cool. And then last but not least, I do have a iOS 4 iPod Touch second gen, right? Nothing special at all. I don't think there's anything on here. 4.2.1. And I did attempt to jailbreak it, but fortunately I couldn't really. But I do use it as an alarm clock sometimes. Usually when I want to use an iPod Touch as an alarm clock, I'll use this one. Although right now I'm using an iPhone 4, but really cool to use these iPods as an alarm clock sometimes. So there's that one. And then the third gens. These are all 32 gigs because the 2009 model of the iPod Touch third gen only shipped in 32 or 64 gig, and then they came out with the revised MC 8 gig version. But iOS free, nothing really special on here. 3.1.2, nothing special, but I'm just happy I have one on iOS free because unlike the first and second gen, you cannot downgrade an iPod Touch third gen. So, but I do have a special one, the third gen on iOS 4. It doesn't have any apps on here, or really much, but it does have a lot of music. Really cool. Yeah, over 2,912 songs on here. So that's what's special about this one. There you go. And it's really good condition. And I also got that one in 2015, and I downloaded a lot of songs on there. And I was just happy because it wasn't on its latest version of iOS. I was expecting it was going to be on iOS 5. I connected it to iTunes instead, and the newer update is available. And it's like, oh my god, it's on iOS 4. I'm like, wow. And I was happy it was on an older version. And then I got an iOS 5. I don't know why I said 5th gen, but a third gen on 5.1.1. So nothing special about it, but unfortunately, I need it for my collection to complete the third generation lineup. Now here's where the shit gets real. So I do have all my 4th gens. So I go on iOS 4.1, that is not happy. This does need a new battery at some point. But it is running iOS 4.1. Got nothing on it. I got this for only $5, I think, on Macari, and it's also super special because it's a 64 gig, but there's nothing on it. It is on its very first ever version of iOS, though, that it could run alongside the iPhone 4 on iOS 4.1. It does have a company sticker on the back, so. But I got a really good deal on this. I got it for almost free, and it does have a bad battery, so it's well worth it. And then I got when I'm 4.3.2, which has a lot of apps and music on it. And a lot of apps that I downloaded. So it even has the old Instagram icon. I got a lot of my football apps on here. Games, 32 gig. 4.3.2. So it's got a lot of songs on here, a lot of stuff on here. So that I imported. I remember getting this in 2017 when I was in 9th grade, and got a lot of good stuff on here and used it for a while as a main iPod. So really cool. And then an 8 gigabyte 4.3.5 mint condition back. Nothing too special besides the fact that it's still running 4.3.5, just because doesn't have any media on here, but nothing special at all. The home button is kind of stiff, but I bought it on eBay a few months ago, and yeah, so those are my free iOS 4 iPod Touch 4th gens, and then I have two on iOS 5, a black and a white one on 5.1.1. This black one is special because my very first iOS 7 device, I made a video on this, but was a 4th gen in black, 8 gig, running. It was probably 5.1 or 5.0.1, but it was on iOS 5, so it does have a few problems. Obviously, it does have the cracked screen. Definitely not going to do that update, and it does have some dead pixels up top, but pretty cool. And so it's cracked, but especially because it's still running iOS 5. So, and I also have a white one still running iOS 5. And pretty cool. 5.1.1. Nothing special about either of those, but in terms of what's on it. But hey, it's on upgradable software, and I do kind of have some memories with the iPod Touch 4th generation on iOS 5. And then last but not least, this one I got for free from the Target bin. I believe this is the only iPod Touch I found in the Target bin, but a 4th gen 8 gig black iOS 6.1.6. I'm not even going to go into settings because you know it. Nothing special about this one. And certainly not as cool as my iOS 4 ones. So those are the 4th generations. So now for the 5th gens. So I do have the whole iPod Touch 5th generation lineup. It took me forever because it took me forever to find an iPod Touch 5th gen still running iOS 6. And really special because it's on its very first version of iOS 6, 6.0.1. And it's a 64 gig in mint condition. So, yeah, passcode on it because this will never be updated ever. Whoops. Here it is, 6.0.1. And there we go. I do have 57 songs on here and a few videos. I downloaded a few songs and yeah, a little bit of media on there. But I do finally have an iPod Touch 5 on iOS 6 that I made a video about. I do have one on iOS 7.1. This one's kind of cool because it's the non iTouch camera one, iSight camera one, but really especially because it's still on iOS 7. So, and nothing on here though. but 7.1, there we go. And then I do have a beautiful slate black, a 32 gig. Oh yeah, the iOS 7 one is 16 gig, by the way. But 32 gig black, iOS 8.4.1. Nothing special in terms of what's on here besides the upgradable software, but pretty cool. Oh, this one I think I got from Target. My bad. Yeah, this one I also got for free from the Target bin in early 2022. So, and I do have this one's been eluding me. This is my newest addition to my Apple collection. The iPod Touch 5th generation. Nothing special because it's on iOS 9. 32 gig, but it's in mint condition. Nice, beautiful blue. This might be one of the best colors for any iPod. But super slow on iOS 9. iOS 9 and the A5 was pretty bad. But I do have the whole lineup. So, for the 5th gen. And, for my 6th gens, I got a blue iPod Touch 6th gen running iOS 8.4.1. I am so lucky to have this because the iPod Touch 6 on iOS 8, these are really hard to find. I mean, there aren't any on eBay or Mercari, I do not think, as of last time I checked. And I got lucky I have one of these because I bought this back when they were still easy to find, brand new, still on iOS 8. So, and even then, it was like 2017, 2018. So, but they were still pretty easy to find, still running iOS 8. So, 8.4.1 to be exact. And I used to use this, I think, in 2019 as my main music player. So, 8.4.1, we've got a lot of songs, a lot of media on here. So, really cool to have this one. And I'm very lucky to have this one because not every Apple collector has one of these. So, and then I got a gold 12.5.7 with a little bit of dent there. Nothing special about this one, although I do like the gold color. It's on the latest it can run. I just needed an iOS 12 one for whatever reason, so, and I wanted a gold one, so, you know, right? If I had a gold one on iOS 8, I probably wouldn't have any other 6 gens, but, and last but not least, I got, my only iPod Touch 7th gen. This one is kind of special. It doesn't really have anything on here besides my iCloud account, but it does, oh man, but it does, however, is on iOS 14.4, so, which is still upgradable to iOS 15.7.9, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, but I technically could update this to iOS 15, but I'm probably not going to, but we'll see. Unless I found on iOS 12, then I will. But pretty cool to have. So that's my whole iPod collection. So going back to my first gens, I got 2 on iOS 1, 1 on iOS 2, and 1 on iOS 3. Going back to my second gens, I got 1 on iOS 2, 1 on iOS 3, 1 on iOS 4. Going back to my third gens, you see 1 on iOS 3, 4, and 5. So there we go. And then my fourth gens, I got 3 on iOS 4, 2 on iOS 5, and 1 on iOS 6. And in my 5th gens, I got 1 of each on iOS 6 through 9. And 6th gen, I got one on iOS 8 and one on iOS 12, and then the 7th gen, iOS 14, and then my non-touches. So pretty much that is my whole iPod collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. So this is part 1 of my Apple collection. And disclaimer, these are mine and for the channel. None of these are for sale or anything. These are part of my Apple collection. And just a slight disclaimer because I have gotten some comments asking if any of these are for sale. And don't try to be too mean, but I say that, yeah, right. None of these are for sale and never will be. But I do try to refer to listings I find on eBay to some that are for sale that are similar. So, but I am pretty impressed with my iPod collection, and peace out, everybody.